So it is the 150th Open at St Andrews. We're going to cross over to Lawrence Donegan ahead of 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Lawrence, hello.
How you doing? How you doing there, Joe?
Very well. Got you there now, loud and clear. You're at St Andrews?
I am, yep.
Tell us about the last couple of days, because certainly on television it's looked like a fairly extraordinary festival of sorts.
It's just the best, Joe. You have to say, I've been to countless Open Championships, and the sense of anticipation this time is completely off the charts. I think McIlroy probably put it best when he said this is the Holy Grail, 150th Open Championship. You throw in St Andrews, you throw in Tiger, you throw in a golf course, which, I mean, I know people are scared that these players are going to pull it apart, but my goodness, it is the epitome of what a links golf course should be. It is baked dry. It's running hard and fast. It's the night before Christmas, Joe.
So I'm sure you're talking to lots of people who really know their golf and have a sense of the modern game and have a sense of how St Andrews is shaping up. Are you anticipating scores which might, quote unquote, embarrass or humiliate the grand old wonder that is St Andrews, or do you think it'll stand up to these modern players with their modern equipment?
Well, this is who knows? I think Martin Slumber said today that he would hand over the trophy to a guy who shot 13 under par. I mean, the weather forecast, the trope is that it needs a lot of wind the Old Course needs a lot of wind to defend itself. So there's not a lot of wind coming over the next few days. In fact, I think it's estimated at 8 to 12 miles an hour and gusting up to 20. I think Saturday might have the strongest winds, getting up to 25. Compare that to the last couple of practice days, and getting up to 30 miles an hour has been pretty tough for them out there. So there's that. But I think the defence this time is going to be in, two things. One, the fact that the golf course is baked out. I mean, you can throw yardages out the window. It's all going to be about imagination. It's, how are you going to judge the bounds? It's a completely different kind of golf to what most of these guys are used to. And I'm guessing that's going to put a lot of them off. I mean, you will have a few guys that'll probably just go and try and overpower that. But history shows that generally doesn't tend to happen, or doesn't tend to work at the Old Course. So there's that, the kind of baked out nature of the golf course. And then the great unknown is what the R&A are going to do with the pin positions. Again, they're usually pretty tricky here, but I mean, there's still a few tricky ones that have never been seen before. And I would suspect, if Martin Slumbers is confident, the R&A's chief executive is confident that 13 under might be a winning score, then we're going to see these pins in positions in which we have never seen them before. So I'm not ready to say, we're going to see a 58 or a 59 in the Open. I mean, it could happen, I guess. But I doubt it. I think they'll do everything within their power to keep the scores, reasonable enough. I think the average winning score at St Andrews in the Open, I think, is 16 under. So that's pretty low. Brendan Gray shot 62 at Birkdale, and that was on a day when a lot of guys were low at Birkdale. So, I mean, these guys are really good. But as I say, the golf course has got its own natural defences this week.
Yeah. We had Padraig Carrington on the show after his senior US Open win, and he certainly felt that the pins would be in very unusual positions on account of where the game is at the moment. Just on the course itself, I presume you've played it, have you?
I have played it. In fact, I played it in April. Yeah, I played it a lot. Yeah, I played it when it was £25 for a green fee, Joe. So that's how many times I've played it. Like,
it is one of the wonderfully one of the wonderful things about golf is that any of us can head that way and pitch up and have a great chance of playing it if you're lucky in the lottery and you queue overnight. If you were to ask most people, though, even reasonably devoted golf fans about shots at St Andrews, they would obviously know the first tee and they'd know the 18th and they would know the 17th over the hotel. Somewhere in the middle, though, it becomes a touch nondescript, I would say. And I think maybe television needs to do a much better job of bringing the thing to life a little bit and showing just how precise some of the points that they're aiming at off the tee have to be, and if they miss those points they're in bunkers, and what the options are, and kind of the cerebral aspect to the course, because there is no doubt when you look at the Roll of Honours list at St Andrews, it is producing iconic champions and very smart golfing champions. But you could kind of look at it and say, well, once they get to the second and somewhere over the next 13, 14 holes, it doesn't, it can look a touch boring.
Well, I mean, visually, it's not. I mean, it's not Pebble Beach, that's for sure. And you are right. I mean, I'm over here. I live in the States. I've come over and I've been viewing the Sky Sports coverage, and I think it's magnificent, to be honest. And they try their best. I was watching Rich Beam earlier on today explaining how the many different ways you can play the seventh hole, which I thought was brilliant. But yeah, visually it's not. I mean, it's not exactly captivating. But you get out on the golf course, Joe. It's just it's magical. I mean, my definition of what great golf is: you're standing with a club in your hand, and you're what shot am I going to hit, and you really don't know. You've got 3 or 4 different options. That doesn't happen a lot, anywhere else. It happens on great golf courses, and St Andrews is full of that. And I mean, I guess visually it's hard to define and explain, but when you're out there, it's a magical place. And I guess there's a great line. I think it was David Spade, the former chief executive of USGA, said, if you say you love St Andrews after you played it twice, you're a liar. I mean, it's one of those golf courses you've kind of really got to enjoy it over the years, play it a few times, and really come to understand it. If you play it, when I played it in April, I played with a local, and it's amazing some of the lines that the local is showing you, that you would never guess, if you just landed in and played it for the first time. It really is it's a wonderful, wonderful golf course, and it really tests. It's a test of intelligence, golfing intelligence. And that's why ball striking, intelligence, and patience, and that's why the list of winners is just phenomenal. I mean, there's some amazing winners: Seve, 84, Faldo, 90. John Daly was a great player when he won at 95. Tiger, 2000. Tiger, 2005. And the only dud that you would really say in recent times is probably Zach Johnson. But again, that was, there's kind of various reasons for that. That was a Monday finish, and it got a bit freaky. But generally, it produces the great players, identifies the best player in the world at that moment in time, and it does that because it's such an interesting, strategic, challenging golf course.
And he's also a dud who won the Masters as well, and there's a correlation between the two, and Alistair Mackenzie and all those kinds of things. So I was listening to a podcast where some millionaire friend of Tiger Woods' had played the course and reported back that he wasn't too, he thought it was okay, in spite of the history and how wonderful the initial stages of it are in that square with 1 in 18. And Woods' retort was, yeah, you're not good enough to understand, which I thought was kind of an insight into how he sees the course. He is there, and he is certainly as cerebral as any golfer there's ever been. We see him limping away. We don't know what to expect. What are you expecting?
I am expecting, you know what, I mean, you're going to laugh. I mean, we all make a list of potential winners. I mean, I've got 5, and Woods is one of the 5. I mean, I think he's played, somebody totaled it up today, I think 58 holes he's played. Or he's either played or walked over since he got here at the weekend. So he's clearly fit enough. To go out and play that much or to walk that much suggests that he has an appetite for it. He obviously, we all know this is his favourite golf course in the world. The 2 things that give me a kind of a sneaky for him is the Open Championship course that this reminds me most of is 2006 Hoylake, Royal Liverpool. Famously, Tiger, I think he was in 1 bunker that week. I think he had 1 driver, and that's the 1 bunker he went in. That golf course is very, very similar, presented in a very similar way to this golf course. So there is that. The other one is, if you go back to the President's Cup at Royal Melbourne, Royal Melbourne's another, for those who don't know, it's another one of the great 2 or 3 golf courses in the world. And like St Andrews, it was designed by Alistair Mackenzie, who's very influenced by the old course. And like St Andrews, is an extremely strategic golf course. And Tiger wasn't in great shape when he played in that 2019 President's Cup, and he was magnificent that week. He showed just how much better than everybody else in the tournament and the competition and in the field that he was about thinking his way around the golf course. So he's got that. He has the appetite. I mean, he talks about, I think this is, he's made the cut in 2 majors this year, which is pretty good. and sat out the US Open. So he's got it. He's still got game. His swing looks really, really good. And if he putts decently, and he gets the other good thing, I think the draw. I don't think the draw is going to favour anybody really, late, early, or early, late. I think the wind isn't going to change it, so he's not going to get done in by the draw. So it's kind of I'm not going to say the stars are aligning, but he's, God, could you imagine on Sunday afternoon if he kind of hangs around and gets himself in contention on Sunday afternoon? And I think, he might look at this like he did at the last Masters he won. If I can just hang around, the other guys will get nervous because they import the occasion, and well, he certainly won't. He won't be intimidated by that. So again, I'm not going to say he's winning, but I think he's got a decent chance.
I never thought that you'd let your heart rule your head like that. I didn't know you were romantic.
Oh. No, seriously, I mean, you think about it, he really is. There's just something about him this week. What was he doing here? When he tucked up, it looked like he was wearing a back brace. And he could hardly, he could walk obviously, but he really looked to be struggling to get around. But as the week has progressed, he looks better and better. As I say, I wouldn't be daft enough to say that he could win. He'll certainly make the cut. If there's a bet there to make the cut, I mean, he is guaranteed to make the cut. I would certainly, I'm not a gambling person, but I would certainly have a bet on him to be top 10. But after that, we'll just have to wait. It depends there's a lot of great players in the field. Can he beat them? Probably not.
So the way the bookies see it is that certainly on this side of the pond, McIlroy is their favourite. Xander Schauffele, who's on a real hot streak at the moment, they have him second favourite. Can he win again is maybe the biggest question mark hanging over him. Scottie Scheffler was top 10 at the Open last year and is current world number 1, third. Jordan Spieth was in that, or just missed out in that playoff when Zach Johnson won 7 years ago, and obviously has won an Open before. Then you've John Rahm, then you've Matt Fitzpatrick, US Open winner, and then we're into Justin Thomas, who's US PGA winner. That's around 16-1 territory, and Shane Lowry is also in at 16-1 as well. He will fancy his chances, and on we go. Lots of great players. Will Zalatoris has had a great year again in the majors. Cam Smith is there, and then we're a bit further out to kind of Dustin Johnson territory, around 28-1 or so. Louis Westhuizen has form around here at 33s. What jumps out there is there is a hell of a lot of options to pick from.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that there really is, and every one of them you can make a plausible case for any of them. And perhaps, Schauffele's already won the biggest tournament of the year, the JP McMahon Slam, so I'm not sure he can pull off 4 in a row, but he is playing great. And I was thinking about it today because I knew I was going to talk to you. What's going to, how is the winner going to separate himself? And the one I keep coming back to is simply because the way the ball's running, nobody's going to be sticking a wedge into the second green and it's going to stop on a dime. That's just not going to happen. So I think guys are going to be facing a lot of 40, 50, 60 foot putts. So the one fact that jumps out to me, I don't know if this is an original thought, but 3-putt avoidance is the big one. The guys who can hold out. And I went back and I looked back and there's one name. Well, I think Schauffele's leading that category this year, this season. But Cam Smith, I think he led that category in the PGA Tour last year, and I think he's second or third in that category this year. He is a phenomenal. I was watching him earlier in the week. To watch him hitting a golf ball, you watch some guys, you watch Rory and you listen, and it's just phenomenal. We all know that. Cam Smith kind of slaps it round. Obviously, he's a great player, but his short game is a real separator. His wedge game, we talk about, imagination. He's brilliant for that. And he's also a brilliant, brilliant putter. So somebody like that, something like that, and I think Tiger falls into that. Tiger's always been a great, clutch putter, but he's always been a phenomenal lag putter. You mentioned Spieth. Again, they're going to have to hold out a lot as well. So we're looking at 5-10 foot putts, and I don't see somebody like Spieth being able to handle that. Watched him at the Renaissance Club last week in Scotland, and his putting is again, he's great at the kind of middle distance putts, but my goodness, you get him to the 5 feet, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I think that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking at.
Yeah. Funny, that's what would scare me with Woods, actually. I followed him at Adair quite a bit, and to say his putting was sloppy is an understatement. And it was some of the lag putting in particular was almost unprecedented. You just couldn't believe what you were seeing from Woods. Now, maybe he has this ability to sharpen up in double quick time, such as the talent and the reservoir of knowledge, but it's the wonderful thing about this. You don't quite know until they all pitch up. McIlroy seems to be in as good a place on and off the course as he's been in quite some time. That wedge play is in a different stratosphere to 8 months ago, for starters.
Yeah, there is that, and I think the conditions will kind of favour him as well. He's got a slightly higher ball flight than you might want or like for an Open Championship contender, but not a lot of wind. He's got a pretty decent short game. Rory's putting, I think he's 8th in PG Tour in putting this year, which is really, really good. He looks, I thought it was really interesting. You look at the last two majors this year, or the last two majors, and there was a lot of live talk around, and Rory had to deal with all of that kind of stuff. I thought it was really interesting. His press conference this week, he was asked, he got the inevitable live golf questions, and he just brushed them aside. Clearly, him and Tiger had done a deal. Rory was obviously that. I'm saying nothing, Tiger. You can deal with it all. So Tiger gave a pretty good quote on live golf. I thought that was kind of interesting. So that's probably a bit of a relief for Rory. He doesn't have to deal with all of that nonsense. So it's all about the golf for him this week. Yeah, again, I was here in 2010. We thought it was done and dusted. First day, 63. Wow. So he clearly, he can get his ball around this golf course. Loves the golf course. This is where not a lot of people will remember this, but I do. He turned pro after the Open in 2007. Had a few starts in the European Tour. Mickey's card was really, really struggling. I went to ready to go to the European Tour qualifying school. Can you imagine Rory McIlroy? And he turned up at the Dunhill here at St Andrews, Carnoustie and Kings Barnes and finished 4th to secure his card. So he likes this place. He's got good memories around this place. If you're asking me to pick somebody, it's hardly an original thought. It would be, Rory, Cam Smith, one of those two guys really for me.
The spectre of live golf looms large, I suppose. Although, as a final point to get your thoughts on, the RNA did all they can not to have it dominate the week, and they did want it to be about the Champions Dinner, and they did want it to be about that 4-hole Champions event where the great and the good came out and played. And they also didn't extend the invite to Greg Norman to the Champions Dinner, and then Phil Mickelson, it seemed, declined the invite to the Champions Dinner. I'm sure there's been a lot of talk about that. What are you hearing?
Oh, Joe, it would curl your ears. Again, I'm a responsible journalist, but my goodness, the number of rumours and gossip. Stand by for next week, for instance. There's one extremely big name is being strongly rumoured to go to live. And if that happens, quite a lot of bets are off. But there's all sorts of. The place is buzzing with stuff. You can't tie any of it down, but things are moving. I keep on harking back to Rory standing in front of the press conference, standing in front of a microphone at Riviera in February, saying this thing is dead in the water. Well, it's not. It's far from dead in the water. I think the world of golf is in for a pretty bumpy ride over the next 6 months, a year, 2 years.
So let me get this straight. You're at St Andrews, it's the eve of the Open, you're hanging out with friends, and everywhere you turn there's loads of delicious rumour and gossip. Are you having a good week, yeah? The worst thing is the food, though. we'll leave that to one side. Again, I feel extremely privileged. This is it's the absolute best. It's going to be a magical week. I cannot wait. As I say, it's like Christmas Eve when I was 6 or 7 years old. Yeah, no, all the ingredients are there. Lawrence, enjoy it. Have a great time. Thank you so much.
All the best, Nick. Bye.
Cheers. Lawrence Donegan there, who is at St Andrews amidst, I think he's right when he says the next week could be an interesting week and there could be defections to live golf, but the next 4 days should be pretty good as well if you love your golf. The Golf Weekly podcast is waiting for you on Patreon, so come and join us and subscribe. Back in 1 sec.
Off the ball on News Talk.